Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Yana Johnson, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Colonel Mike McMahon. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. We also acknowledge Kedron Wavell RSL from Queensland who are in attendance today. During the ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial. Please stand and join in singing the national anthem. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard their record, which they themselves made. Tonight, we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Lance Corporal George Eddy. George Eddy was born around 1896 in Eaglehawk near Bendigo, Victoria, to George and Mary Eddy. He attended the local state school and went on to work as a bread carter for the cooperative bakery in nearby Ironbark. He was an active member of the local Methodist Church and the Independent Order of Rechabites, a temperance movement. He also played for the local cricket club. George Eddy enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force in July 1915. He underwent a period of training in Australia before leaving for active service overseas with reinforcements of the 8th Battalion the following September. He was first sent to Egypt, where the AIF was undergoing a period of reorganisation and expansion following the evacuation from Gallipoli. As part of this process, he was transferred to the 57th Battalion. He continued training in the desert for some months before leaving to join the fighting in France in June 1916. A short time after the 57th Battalion arrived on the Western Front, it participated in an operation near the French village of Fromelles. Assigned a supporting role, it avoided the heavy casualties of other Australian battalions involved in the attack, and Private Eddy came through unscathed. The 57th Battalion then spent the harsh winter of 1916 and 1917, rotating in and out of the front line. Eddy spent a short period of time in England on leave, but was back with his battalion early in the new year, when it participated in the advance that followed the German retreat to the Hindenburg Line. Eddy was promoted to Lance Corporal in early March, and a month later was in the front line near the village of Morchy. The 57th Battalion was again playing a supporting role as nearby Australian battalions attacked German positions. On the night of the 1st of April, the battalion sent out a small party of men to establish a post about 600 yards from their line. In the early hours of the morning, the group came under heavy machine gun fire from two sides. 3 men were killed and 9 others were wounded. Lance Corporal George Eddy was probably one of the 3 men killed on this operation. His mother Mary Eddy received a letter from the chaplain of the 57th Battalion that said that Eddy was killed while holding a position with conspicuous bravery and showing the most heroic example to his comrades. The chaplain added, "I can assure you, Mrs. Eddy, that your boy's memory will forever be revered by his comrades and the people here whom he came to save, and that this resting place will be respected by them." George Eddy was 21 years old. He was buried nearby, but his grave was lost during later fighting. And today his name is listed on the Australian National Memorial at Villa Bretonneux with more than 10,700 other Australians who died in France during the First World War and who have no known grave. His name is also listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, among more than 60,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Lance Corporal George Eddy, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial and we wish you a very good evening.